Hello everyone, Gentleman here with yet another Epic 7 video. For this one, I wanted to go over the Moonlight's Blessing Season 2 event, which will allow you to select any one of these 7 ML5 characters to essentially get for free. I wanted to talk about them, give you my honest opinion on which character you should pick, in case you're confused or maybe you want a second, third, or fifth opinion, because I know there's plenty of videos out there that, they give their insight and try to help people out to make a smart decision, because this is a big deal, guys. Being able to select a free ML5 comes by once a year. It was the case last year for the very first time, and now Smilegate is doing it again this year. But yeah, I'll try to make this as quick and simple as possible. I'm not gonna go over every single one of these characters' skills, S1s, S2s, S3s, or whatever. Just a basic on the surface overview of these characters so you can see what their strengths and weaknesses are. But okay, without further ado, let's dive in. I want to start off by getting straight to the point. If you don't have a single one of these 7 characters, honestly, you only need to look at 2 of them: Meteor Kawarek and Conquer Lilius. These 2 are by far the 2 best options you can pick from all the 7 characters. I'm not saying the other ones are bad by any means, but both Meteor Kawarek and Conquer Lilius are both incredibly amazing and helpful in both PvE and PvP. Both of them offer insane amounts of support to your team. They're not damage dealers or anything like that, but they help sustain your team and take the edge over your opponents in various unique ways. Now, if you want to narrow it down even more between these 2 characters, I honestly would say that Meteor Kawarek is the better option, simply because Conqueror Lilius gets banned a lot in RTA, which is the PvP game mode, while Meteor Kawarek sees all the play in the world. He's just that good, and like I said, he fits on basically every team composition. And both of them are gonna be essentially just as good in PvE content, but of course in their own unique ways. But yeah, if you were to ask me, in the number 1 spot I would have Meteor Kawarek, and in the number 2 spot, Conquer Lilius. And now on to the other 5 characters. And this is where I think it's gonna get very tricky for a lot of people that may already have, Meteor Kawarek and Conqueror Lilius, because all these characters are very good, but in their very unique way. Like, none of these characters work either the same or similar to one another, which makes it so hard to just pick one. So yeah, let's start off by talking about Astromancer Elena. For example, she is all about countering enemies that essentially counter. So yeah, she counters enemies that counter. She basically has a buff of her own that stops the enemy from being able to counter attack you. So she's very special because she's essentially the only character that has that ability. And she's used mostly in PvP content such as Arena, Guild Wars, and RTA. So a heavily based PvP character. And speaking of heavily based PvP characters, we have Commander Pebble. He's all about cleave team compositions. You basically just put him in a team where you're essentially guaranteed to take the first turn, and as long as you're able to hit 2 critical hits, Commander Pebble will be able to combat readiness push himself up in the turn bar while dishing out massive amounts of damage to the entire enemy team. And then once his turn comes up, he's able to just basically blow up any one character in the opponent's team. This essentially just wins you the game, right? If you get to that point in the match, you basically win the game. But his biggest weakness is if you don't actually get to kill anyone, or there are still like 2 or 3 characters left standing on the enemy team, Commander Pebble is basically just a sitting duck, right? He's not gonna do much after his first turn, and that's where he falls flat. At that point, if you didn't win the game, more likely than not, you already lost. So yeah, very specific character for cleave team compositions. And now we have Death Dealer Ray. He's a very good character, more specifically in the area of control team compositions. He's able to be very oppressive against characters that basically scale off of their HP, because he's able to inflict tons and tons of injury onto basically the entire enemy team, and he's great at controlling the enemy team as well via his ability to put enemies to sleep. So very good character. However, of course, if you go up against an enemy team that has a lot of cleansers or a lot of immunity, then he's basically useless as well, because he's not able to put those venom debuffs on the enemy and or put them to sleep either. So really good character, really fun to play, but yeah, also relatively specific towards characters or teams that you put him up against. Next up, we have Sage Vivian, and I might be a little biased towards her because I actually have her, I've been able to use her, and she's an absolute waifu of a character. But overall, guys, she's an amazing character. I more specifically love her the most just because she's one of those really great damage dealing characters that are very self-sufficient. She's able to mitigate incoming damage towards her by up to 70%. So really good survivability, and of course, as I already mentioned, she dishes out a ton of damage. But of course, she's not perfect by any means. She's very weak against characters that can just do a set amount of damage, like Rimuru's S3, where he just does like either 5k or 10k flat amount of damage. At that point, that basically bypasses her damage mitigation, and she just, blows up, right? She's also really bad against any type of character that can affect or negate her focus, because that's essentially how she's able to acquire her damage mitigation. And at that point, of course, she's as fragile as it can be. So really good character in my opinion. She definitely has her counters, but I like her just because she's one of those characters that sets herself up to be more of general use. So really easy to use and really easy to pick in PvP. And lastly, we have Remnant Violet. Another amazing damage dealing character. However, his main quirk is gonna be all about evasion. So if you like Gamba, if you're into, leaving your fate into RNG's hands, well, he's definitely gonna be your type of character. So yeah, he has a really big chance of evading enemy attacks, so he's able to stay relatively safe. So yeah, however, of course, if you strip that evasion buff, or if you just simply get very unlucky and he ends up getting hit, well, that is essentially as far as he will go, because more likely than not, he can basically just be dead after that. So again, very 50-50 type of character. However, if you live by the RNG, you die by the RNG, so he can win you games and lose you games. So very strong. Of course, that's not to take away what he does, because whenever he hits like a damn truck. So most team compositions that have him is that type of like protect the president type of thing, where he can alone destroy the entire enemy team, and it's relatively fun. So yeah, that's gonna be his main thing. So yeah, if you're not into that whole RNG stuff, or you feel like you have the worst luck in the world, then maybe he won't be the character for you. Yeah guys, that's gonna be mostly it for all this characters overview. To put things very simply, to finish things off, I would say your number 1 pick should be Mediator Koeric, number 2 option should be Conqueror Lilius, number 3 option should be Sage Vivian, number 4 should be Remnant Violet, number 5 should be Death Dealer Ray, number 6 Commander Pebble, and number 7 Astromancer Elena. Of course, this is my own personal opinion. You of course cannot go wrong with any of these characters. It's mostly up to which characters you have or what type of playstyle you want to go after. But yeah guys, thank you all so much for watching. Consider liking and subscribing if you enjoyed this video. I hope this was helpful, and I'll see you all on the next one. Laters.